What's up, guys? This is In the Corner with Destiny McCubbin, and today we're doing a little bit different. My special guest is Juan, the Spaniard Archuleta. What's up, Juan? How we doing?
Well, Destiny, I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for being here. We're here to talk about his upcoming fight going down this Saturday, September 20th at the Virgin Hotel for Borroka MMA, presenting XFC 53.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm a first time fighting in Vegas, like 3 years spent in Japan fighting, and then first fight was in Laughlin, Nevada, and then Randall's like, man, we're gonna have one in Vegas, watch. And now the second fight here, defending the title, the featherweight title against Jose Johnson. So I couldn't be more honored to represent.
Yeah, that's crazy. 37 fights, going for his 31st professional win. Your first time fighting in Las Vegas. How does that feel? Is that like kind of a dream come true in a sense?
Yeah, to be honest, it was really hard getting my 30th win. Like, I don't know why, but the last 3 fights, it was like, bam, bam, bam. I was like, dang, man, I'm not going to be able to hit 30 wins. And then I have a viral knockout that went crazy. I was like, man, this is so awesome. So now that's off my back. Now I get to go back to just performing and having fun.
Viral knockout, we're talking about the flying knee that secured this belt, right?
Yes.
That went down in June, just a couple months ago. Was that something that you prepped for? I mean, I know it's kind of a part of, what you have as your style. Did you prep for that? Did you look for that, or it just happen? Yeah,
so earlier in the sequence, he's a real low fighter, and then in the first round, he was pressuring a lot, wanting to get the takedown, wanting to pressure with the wrestling, which I was fine with because I was like, this guy's gonna wear himself down. I'm cool with it. And then going into the second round, midway through, Cub was like, hey man, like start looking for stuff down the middle, whether it's gonna be a flying knee, uppercuts, like let's add some highlight stuff that's gonna really set this guy back, and then you'll start to take over the fight. And fortunately for me, when he came in and I knew he was running in, I went down the middle with the knee, and it planned out perfect.
It was absolutely flawless. It didn't even it just touched him. Yeah. That's it. All you needed to do was touch him out.
Yeah, it was amazing. In the Matrix when the girl jumps up and everything just slows down, like that's literally how it felt, because when the knee, it went through him, and then I felt like I just like levitated for like a century, I was like, whoa. And then I just see him go out, and when he landed, I just like kind of pushed him down, and I was like, dang, that was crazy. Yeah.
I can imagine. I can't, like, just the feeling of that, the high of that, getting your hand raised with that being the reason why it's got to be crazy, and getting the beautiful Borroka MMA belt wrapped around your waist.
Yeah, absolutely. And another cool thing that happened of that is like all the MMA media like saying like, man, this is knockout of the year. Like every time I talk to someone, they're like, this is knockout of the year. You're going to win knockout of the year. And I'm like, man, like I had some really good knockouts before, but for this, I mean, it is cool, and I'm honored for sure, because it's like a Jorge Masvidal type situation. Yep. Exactly. And it wasn't just like the one I threw earlier was definitely like just slop, but then the other one, like tracking them in and then throwing the precision of that, it was very nice.
Yes, I love it. And you're no stranger to being a champion. You've held multiple titles through multiple big promotions, Bellator MMA, you're the bantamweight champion, Rizin, King of the Cage, multi-division champion. So how does it feel to be the Borroka champ? Because I know that you are close with the promoter, Randall Ellman. So talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, where to start, right? 6 years old, I used to wrestle with them.
No way.
Yeah, we used to wrestle. He wrestled here at Cimarron Memorial. I wrestled in Sultana, which is a Victorville, so it's just a hop and a skip, jump away in California. And when we were kids, we just used to compete against each other, train during the summers. We had a good relationship, and then he's actually the one that got me into MMA, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah,
I was
at Purdue wrestling, and Gray Maynard was getting ready to fight Frankie Edgar, and he was like, hey Juan, we need a wrestler to come in. And I was like, okay, like I'll come and train, like sure. Yeah. And you know what, like it's crazy how things work full circle, because in that training camp, all Gray did was throw jumping knees, like jumping knees, right? And I was like, okay. And so like I remember practicing jumping knees with them for like 30 minutes on the water bag, and I was like, man, I'm kind of tired of doing this, but I was just a creature of habit, just repping these out. And so to get that, it was flying, I go back to the knockout, like how crazy it goes together, right?
Yep, it was all part of it.
Yeah, so and then that got me introduced to MMA. I started my fight, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'll help you out in the beginning for sure." And so he got me my first couple fights, and then afterwards he was on a roll. He had he had a bunch of good guys lined up, and he was like, "Hey Juan, like I'm very busy. Like if I could give you one advice, do something that the promotions that you're going to be able to sell to a promoter if you want to come into a big show." And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, I got to be willing to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place, you know? So that being said, I just went on a terror. I went 18-1. I think I won like 7 world titles at that time. Gladiator Challenge, every promotion that I fought for, King of the Cage. I won 4 belts in King of the Cage. I won the California Fight League belt. I won the True Form Entertainment belt, and that was like pretty much 7 belts I won right there. That got me 18-1. I defended some of the belts, and then after that, I was just like, okay, now I have something to sell to a promoter. You know, came out, and then still like MMA is so crazy because they're like, yeah, but those belts are like lower promotion, right? Like, let's see what you really have. I was like, yeah, well, I'm 18-1. You're signing guys that are like 7-0 that have like come off this, a good knockout, but they're never a champion. Like I have championship rounds, you know.
Again, championship rounds in multi divisions. I mean, in King of the Cage, you're 135, 145, 155, 160. Like that's not easy to do. Yeah,
no, very hard, right? And it was a true form of to show myself I'm willing to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place. Where this, like nowadays, right now, even Randall's talks as, being a manager to promoter, it's very hard to find fighters that want to accept the fight. Like they say, oh, this fight's not good enough. Like I'm looking for someone less down because I don't want to ruin my chances to get in the UFC. Where I'm, for me, and that was very important fighting for Randall because he knew the type of person I am. I'll fight anyone. Like, dude, sign the paper. I'll fight you. Like, let's go. Obviously, like there's some that didn't make sense. Some guys were like, hey, I want a rematch. I was like, well, I beat you, and like it didn't do anything for me then, and it doesn't do anything for me right now because we're in the same position. We're trying to work our way through. So if a promoter sees right now, like, hey, like you already fought this guy, fight someone that's an up and comer, or fight someone that's that. So that was a whole deal. Signing with Borroka right now is being able to come and try to take out these young guys and show like I'm still here, I'm still that guy. Like let's get the mission moving forward.
Right, exactly. And the thing too, like, is so cool. I think about like the evolution of the game is like back in the day, like age was such a thing when it came to the UFC. I feel like that's kind of going out the window. You're noticing, people aren't really caring about age. Like they're signing people who, like, I'm pretty sure like last week Contender Series they signed somebody who's 35.
Manel, yeah,
exactly. And so I think a good win like this for you should put you on their radar for the UFC. Like you said, this is 30-7, 31 professional wins, and not to mention you're the only person outside of the UFC to give somebody like Patchy Mix his first loss under the Bellator banner. Like,
yeah, definitely. And I'm showing like, hey man, I've been a champion in big organizations. I'm not afraid to come back and fight these young hungry lions. Like I'm coming back to show you that, look at, I have nothing to lose. I don't care. I just want to put on really good fights. I'm an entertainer at the end of the day. I want to go out there and I want to entertain. I want fun fights. I'm here to scrap. Like, you see Terrence Crawford, he's 38 and everyone's like, bro, there's no way you should retire. You see Cub Swanson, his last fight, people are like, bro, don't retire. You're crazy if you retire. You look so good. And he's like,
I feel like back in the day, like people would kind of retire like early on.
34, and now 35.
Now we're starting to realize that like maybe you should kind of keep it going because you kind of get better.
Yeah.
You're getting better in that age.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it was like, people saying like, well, why did it take you so long to want to enter the UFC? It's like, because I see it as like it's the NFL, it's the NBA, it's the UFC. I want to be ready. I didn't want to come in and be like, oh well, we'll build you up. To me, I put them on a pedestal because the guys that I trained with back in the day, like I knew how good they were. I was honest with myself. I knew, like, I was training with TJ all the time. I was training with Cub Swanson. Like I'm like, fuck, I'm nowhere near these guys' levels yet. But what I want to do is get to that level and then ask for my shot. Because I know I can fight top 10 guys guys. Shoot, I was training with one of the best bantamweights in the world today. And even with Eljo, you know, I'm not saying that I was beating them, but what I'm saying is I was in there training with them and we were feeding off each other and like giving each other pointers and giving each other feedback. And like, he's like, man, like, what do you do when fighting for Borroka? It's like, because I'm not worried to take a couple steps back so I could take 5 steps forward.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm a realist too. I came off 3 losses. Like I lost to Kai, I lost to Kleber, I lost to this guy that's probably all roided out, and that's the champion at Rizin right now. Yeah. But unfortunately, like I still stepped up and fought, right? Like I fought these guys and I was 0-3. Like I lost these 3s and they were by finishes, right? One was I you know, basically hurt my knee. The other one I got caught in an arm bar. The other one I caught a knee to the solar plex. So I was like, it's not that they dominated me. There were just like freak accidents that had happened, and I still have a lot to show. Like, and Dana, like you're talking about wanting to you know, have guys that aren't afraid to fight, or hey, I have a problem with this guy, he's not accepting fights. Like, I'm that guy. I'll come and take a fight like next week if you have someone that falls out from 55, 35, 45, whatever it may be. But I'm still performing at the highest capability 100%. Right now.
Yes, I did see you do an interview recently talking about, you know, you're willing to fight the top 10 guys, Dan Ige, things like that. What did you think about his fight with Patricio, and you know, and also how do you feel about, you know, these Bellator guys coming over to the UFC and having the, you know, not being successful in their debuts?
Yeah, you know, the 3 guys that did come in, they sat on the shelf for a while because what Bellator and PFL with the merger, and then their price tag was so high that the PFL couldn't afford them. You know, the Bellator kind of screwed everyone over before they sold. They upped everyone's purse, and then they expected them to be like, oh yeah, the PFL is going to pay you guys this, and they try to do the same with me. And I was like, don't do this. Like, you're gonna make I'm not gonna fight. Like, there's no way they're gonna pay us $700,000, $600,000 to fight. Otherwise, they're just gonna fight us once and be like, sorry, that's all we could fight you guys.
Right,
you know?
that's all we could afford.
And that's what we've seen with the guys. You know, so it was inactivity. You know, like Patchy said, he came off the couch. You know, basically training every day. So it was unfortunate. I think he's gonna get a win this next fight, and he's gonna show like back to true form. Same thing with Pico. Like, he looked like a dog on a bone, like
that
ready to go. You know,
because he was winning. That one sucks.
Yeah, and the thing how to analyze that is like, as you come from a wrestling background, and like we get hit with a lot of things called stalling, which is inactivity in a wrestling match. So, you know, as wrestlers, we fear the inactivity of being called stalling just subconsciously, right? So you always have to press forward. I think once he takes a step back and says, okay, like, I don't need to press action all the time, I'm going to get the win. And I think that's where he had fault. And then Patricio, that was just a unfortunate matchup. You fighting Yair, a guy that's very smooth, very silky, who I've trained with, right? And to see his capability, it was just like, man. But I've been active like since the cell. I believe I have like 8 fights and championship fights as well. You know.
And this was just back in June, so not long at all. Yeah. Do you, when you were fighting with Bellator, was, you know, talks of going to the UFC? Was going to the UFC in talks, and was it maybe like a thing like you would have taken a pay cut, if so?
Well, that was the hard thing with like management, right? You got your manager filling your head with things like, oh, they're not going to give you the money that you like want, and I'm like, bro, I don't care about. I just want to fight. Like, I want to fight the best. Like, but you got your conflict of interest, right? That's what's tough about the managers, because I'm getting into management too, right? But you're having these guys under the Bloodline banner, right? Cub Swanson and myself, and helping direct the next generation. But you're starting to see that side of it. Like, okay, these guys might meet up, but what are we going to do? You know, maybe we put them in different organizations, but all fighters want to fight in the UFC. It's like all football players want to play in the NFL. Absolutely. All basketball players want to play in the NBA now, you know? That's the dream, you know? And that's everyone's goal, like the target. So as you see that, I'm like, okay, I see what he was doing. Me and TJ were training at the time. He had the belt at the UFC. If I would have went to UFC, we would have had to meet up, and then, you know, what happens from there? It's like the Aljo and the Marab thing, right? And then at featherweight, I was training with Brian and Cub at that time, so you see like the collision that starts going into there. But now those guys are, you know, kind of out of the picture now. Now I'm ready to make my run, and I understand like, okay, now I have my momentum and my window to make through and get in there and fight the guys that the fans want to see.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the call can't be far. It should be coming anyway. You said you're training with Cub Swanson, and you're kind of trying to help bring up some other guys. Talk to me about your team and how that is. What's the vibe like over there, and what preparation has been like for this fight against Jose Johnson?
Yeah, so we after I went separate ways with my management, I was kind of honestly done with fighting. I was like, man, like I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm 0-3 right now, and like sucks, you know.
Is that the first time you felt like that, champ?
Yeah, because it's like motivation, right? And it's not more motivation. It's like, man, do I still got it? But then I look back, I'm like, man, actually, like I fought Kai. Kai's really good. I fought Kleber, who was a 45 champion. Then I fought this young, hungry dude that was like for sure on steroids, right? And it's like, fuck. I was like, okay, like these guys are good, and the guy's the Rizin champion now. And then I'm just looking like, okay, I didn't lose to Scums, so let's. No. And then that's when I took a year off, and Cub was like, hey, just be around the guys, like come in, you still have a lot to give, you know, and that's what Cub does really well. Guys that are struggling, he helps like remotivate them, like, hey, just come and help out, come give back, and see if this is still for you. And so that's the journey that I've been on. When I took the year off, I needed to heal some injuries anyway.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of good guys. We just recently had a guy, Larion Douglas. He just had a huge knockout in the Dana White Contender Series. It was #1 on SportsCenter. We have Chapolin, who was on the Ultimate Fighter. And I remember when the Ultimate Fighter happened, Cub was like, man, so who do you think's the toughest matchup for Chapolin? And right away I was like, oh man, this guy from Alpha Male, Bopo. I was like, I was like, this guy is good. I was like, hopefully Chapolin sees him in the finals. He's like, oh, you don't think the other guys from like Azerbaijan are going to be more tough? I said, no, this guy's good. Mm-hmm. And I said that I've been watching him and go back to the back circuit and like get the confidence going forward, you know. And
I knew the beginning, the first episode, it was like he won.
Yeah, for sure.
I could feel it.
Yeah, for sure. And our guy ran into him, and so he lost, and then he came back and had a knockout at an LFA, defended his title, and then he went on Dana White's Contender Series like 8 days later, 10 days later, I think, and he won. But it was like Dana White was like, sorry, man, like I didn't see what I want. I didn't see the urgency. I was like, oh man. So it was so devastating because it was like, man, your knockout was a week too early, Chapolin. I'm sorry, man. That sucks because he got better. You know, he wrestled, and then he was showing that, hey, look at, I improved from the Ultimate Fighter against a really talented guy, really good prospect. And so, but it's okay. He's going to be pulled back in. We know he'll have another opportunity, hopefully. And then over at we had another guy, Rafa Garcia, fight at Noche, who finished Jared Gordon, who's like a very hard guy to finish. So he's ready for a top 15 matchup. You know, especially finishing someone like Jared Gordon. Unfortunately, he got hit by a car or something. Supposedly the day before the fight, after weigh-ins, he like posted like, oh, I was standing in the street and some guy backed up and like hit me and I blew out my knee or something. But like we already weighed in, the training camp was done. I was like, man, props to you, Jared. Because I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, look, I'm still here to fight. Like, screw it. Like,
exactly.
My knee's already gone. There's nothing I could do.
And that's the thing is, like, you know, you're talking about these losses that you have on your record. And, like, I know you as a champion won't even talk about it, but there's certain things that went into some of those losses, like that weight cut incident that you had. And, like this with him, like, nothing is going to talk about, but that's what a lot of people on the outside don't understand is there's certain things that happen on the outside that you don't see that actually can lead up to these losses.
I mean, and it was devastating to see that because I was like, man, I put myself in his situation because a guy that beat me when I was sick and like, you know, I had these things go on, he got a UFC title shot, and I was just like, bro, so how are you telling me how are you telling me I'm washed up when I almost knocked him out and then had a guillotine on this dude and almost choked him out, and then he goes and fights for the title for the UFC. Like, come on, bro, that doesn't make any sense. Like, haters are gonna hate, obviously, but it's all good. You know?
Hey, if they hate and you're doing something wrong,
hell yeah, right? For sure.
Okay, so you're fighting Jose Johnson. He is a 4-time veteran in the UFC. So how do you feel about that, fighting somebody that's been been under those lights?
Yeah, I'm excited because it's not like he's been out of the UFC very long. It was actually earlier this year, you know. I think he made the mistake of, like, as big as he is, dropping down to 125 the way he did.
Yeah.
Because I cut down to 135 and I was like, feeling it for sure. But I get to fight him more at a more natural weight, and I think this is where they wanted to sign him at, and they seen promising in him. So, when they see this fight, they're going to say, okay, let's see how he does against a guy that's been a champion outside the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is good for you to go in there and if you can go out there and put it on this guy, that's going to look really good for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely know he's fast. I know he keeps his range very well, and he is a good fighter. Like this guy was signed for the UFC for a reason. They brought him in hoping he was going to be a big prospect. Because when they signed him, he was a really big prospect with some really good wins. So I'm here to unfortunately turn off his dream and continue my success and continue my passion and show guys like Carter Sorochi, who I got here now, who's going to be the future of MMA. He was a first and only 5-time NCAA champion for wrestling. Just having him around the sport and showing them like the lifestyle of the fight week and what it takes to go in there and get in a fight, and
Has
that way he can see. No, he hasn't.
Oh, okay.
So that's where we had him out here training and just getting his feet wet, so to speak, right? And he's loving it. He's a very good athlete. He's a very good competitor just in general.
Yeah.
His mindset is different too. I've talked to him till like 3:30 in the morning, just listening to him about his mindset, what it took to go win those 5 national championships, and to have that type of bulletproof mindset is incredible. He had a blown out knee, and he was like, "Look, this ain't gonna stop me." He had one of the best coaches in the world, Kel Sanderson, being like, "Hey, man, this first title, congratulations. That's the easiest title you're ever going to win. Now they're chasing you."
Yeah.
He's like, "Coach, what are you talking about? They ain't chasing nothing. Like, I'm chasing that championship. Like, this title meant nothing, man. Like, I'm not here just to get one and say, cool, I won my first one. I'm here to make history in the sport." And at that time, he didn't know how he was going to do it. But because he visualized and because how strong the mind is, the COVID year happened. He wrestled, and in COVID year, they gave him an extra year, and he became the only 5-time national champion. Like, that gives me goosebumps saying, like, 5-time national champion.
What that takes, like, a lot of people don't even understand, like, can't even fathom what it takes to get that. Like, wrestling's the hardest sport of them all, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you sacrifice so much. You sacrifice holidays like Thanksgivings, Christmas, New Year's, spring breaks as a college kid, right? Like,
literally. You're cutting weight. You know what cutting weight is from a young child.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what he was. He went to and just killed it as a high school student as well. 4-time state champion, just going through, just wrecking shop. I mean, I don't even believe he got taken down in college. Like, that's how good he is. And
this is guys that you're moving with him in your camps, right?
Yeah, so he'll be cornering me Saturday. And I'm super excited to have him. No, this is the first time. So
that's really cool.
He trains with Bo Nickel. He wrestled with Bo Nickel, so he's seen that type of atmosphere of training. But now we got to move around with some light guys and some guys that are very fast, very scramble. It gives him a different look where he's like, man, like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to get better on. This is what this is where I see my future headed.
That's so cool. Showing him the whole world of it all. Obviously, he understands the work ethic, what it takes and requires to get there. To kind of like this fight week, the lights, the camera, the action. So it's cool that he gets to be a part of it all.
Absolutely,
especially for the main event, defending your title.
Yeah, being here in Vegas, right? Something that's outside of the UFC, because maybe he gets a contender call, right? And he's like, okay, it's not the UFC, but let me try the contender, and it's going to be a very similar feel, right? Yeah. Obviously, it's going to be a lot bigger because the magnitude of the contender series, but 100%. But he gets to start getting his feet wet inside that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were saying you were at the Virgin Hotel where you're fighting at, right?
Yeah, so I went over there to do some promotion, because I got to show still how marketable and how much of a promotion, how much I could be helpful for the promotion. So, and I'm helping building up.
That's
like, this is
fighters will do that.
Yeah. They're like, oh man, I'm cutting weight. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? People want to know what's going on. People want to feel. People want to know the backgrounds. Like, what's it take to do all this stuff and.
Yeah, no, that's really cool because like the Randall actually had reached out, and said that you were like, hey, I'm here, I'm down to talk to anybody, and I was like, wow, like in fight week, that's cool because like you said, most people are like, nope, I ain't doing it, which I understand that too. So thank you for being here. It is an honor to sit and talk to you, champ. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Talk to me about the style, this matchup, and how you feel about it. Obviously, like you said, he's good, he's quick. You are obviously, you have that D1 wrestling in your back pocket. But when you fight, you're forward pressure. You have, that slick, pretty striking. Obviously, you've got that flying knee. And then he's kind of like in the clinch work, very dangerous, has knockout power, at short range. So how do you kind of feel about this? How do you see it going?
Yeah, it's exciting because it gets me sweating thinking about it, right? Like as you're going, I'm like visualizing the fight, like, this is where we are, But yeah, this is definitely the first 6 foot guy that I'm fighting. I think the tallest guy I fought next to that was probably Bendejas. And he was like maybe like 5'11", maybe 5'10". And he created some problems for me, I'm not going to lie. And but thankfully, I had guys like Jalen Turner in the room with me. We had this guy that moves exactly like him. That's an amateur. So it was like getting through that style. And then we also had Giga Chikati, who's like one of the best kickboxers in the world. I was training with. But pre-camp before that, I was training out in Morocco with Nasserat, and we were working with a lot of Holland guys. We had some guys from the SBG gym out in Holland, not to be confused with the Ireland gym, so there's no association. If you look up SBG, Dutch kickboxing, they're one of the best teams in the world. We had a guy, Ilias, who was a 1FC champion, Bogdan, who was a 1FC champion for kickboxing, and then another guy that's up and coming from Portugal was Andres, very talented guys. I came back and I was like, man, I need to go to Holland and go spend a couple months there because the direction that they put me with my kickboxing and my striking has been to the next level for sure. Awesome.
I love that. Do you feel like going against a taller opponent does open up the wrestling for you?
Yeah, and so going into this fight, that's what it's going to have to be, because I have to make this guy tired. I have to make it entertaining. I'm going to pick this guy up and for sure slam him on his head. But I know he's a scrambler too, so I got to, it's going to be a fun scrambles that we get into, and he's very tricky with his jiu-jitsu, which I'm excited for. And then he has, like you said, that dirty clinch boxing that's surprising that as tall as he is that he uses it, but he's very good. He's had some crazy knockouts with his elbows, so I just got to make sure I don't stick on these legs and get elbowed in the back of the head.
I'm so excited for this matchup. I cannot wait, guys. I really cannot. I just want to take it back really quick. When you were at UFC, I know it's kind of like really taking it back, but it's just crossed my mind. When you were at UFC Noche, and when you were out there, did you rub elbows with anybody important that that has you could have you on their radar?
Yeah, I mean, the UFC knows who I am, right? Like, I've been part of huge moments. Again, Yair, they had reached out for someone to help him make weight because he was really struggling making weight, and that fight might not have happened. And then I went in there on a 1.5 week notice to help him make weight against Korean Zombie. And I was like, they're like, oh, do you want to stay for the fight? I'm like, look, man, I can't. I got to fight in like 5 days. I said I'd come out here and help him, but I have to leave after weigh-ins. And then he got the knockout against a Korean Zombie. That back elbow, right? And then being with Brian, being in the corners with Cub, TJ, like some of the biggest opportunities that I've had has come from that. So it's not like I'm a stranger for them, like Dane. And then like Ari Emanuel, I used to train his son wrestling, so it's not like they're like, oh, who is this guy? Like, he's just running his mouth. They know what I'm capable of doing. I mean, I coached the Ultimate Fighter with Joe Benavidez and TJ Dillashaw, right? So I've been around and they know who I am. I just had to have the opportunity, and that's what sucks about the MMA contracts. You're stuck in these contracts, and the guys are like, oh, well, you wasted your years on this thing. It's like, it's not that I wasted my years. I just wanted to fight and make money, bro. Like and then I got stuck in the contract. Like, I won big fights, and it's my fault that I won these big fights, and then my contract got extended. I won the title, added 4 more fights. I went to Rizin, I won their title, added 3 more fights, and I was like, I was trying to leave, and then luckily for me, I lost 3 in a row, and now here I am where I'm like stuck in no man's land where, even PFL, I was very fortunate that I got out of that contract very early when Kai beat me, and they're like, oh, we're gonna cut you. I was like, please do, like, thank you. Please do. Adios. Like, I'm gonna finish my last 2 fights out I have with Rizin, and then I'm freaking free agent, and I have no renegotiation clause, no right to match. Like, I am out of here. And so
and it's so cool how it all came full circle, because like you said, you've known Randall Ailman since you were 6 years old. Now here you are fighting for him in Las Vegas. I think this is a perfect place for you to be. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those names are there. You know, somebody from the UFC. I know they were last time. They've been to a couple of his shows. So
yeah, because this is one of the only MMA fights going on this weekend. You know, there's no UFC, there's no PFL. So you know, guys tune in. It's gonna be a fun night.
Exactly. Going down at the Virgin on the Las Vegas Strip, September 20th. Doors are at 6 p.m. Is there anything you want to say to your people or anything like before? I actually have a couple fun questions.
Let's do it. Let's do some phone questions.
Okay.
Let's do some phone questions, and then we'll hit the plugs after.
All right, Juan. Okay. Pick one fighter to be stuck on an island with: Forrest Griffin, Diego Lopez, John Jones, or Nate Diaz.
Man. Okay, let's run through those names again.
Okay, Forrest Griffin.
Okay, Forrest Griffin.
Diego Lopez, John Jones, Nate Diaz.
Okay, so I've been stuck with two of them before, and I didn't like it. Okay, and then, well, you'll know because I'm not going to pick them. Okay. I will say for sure Nate Diaz.
Yeah?
I would do Nate Diaz.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that because, like, he's, you know, he's tough. He's a dog. And he's very, like, does, like, that swim shit and all that stuff.
For sure.
So he could maybe swim somewhere for you.
And he gets high, so I'm like, man, I know you have something packed in, bro. Like, we're stuck on this island. I know you got a pound on you. Let's roll it up and just be stuck.
Y'all be chilling.
Yeah.
I love it.
Chilling.
All right, okay. What legend would you love to share the octagon with?
Definitely George. Oh no, actually, you know what? I used to think it was George St. Pierre, and then I started watching because I emulate my style so much again, like his. But then the more I watched Mighty Mouse, the more I was like, man, I just love to train with that guy. Like I would love to really train with him and pick his brain and like kind of see really how fast he was and like how fluid his grappling was and his striking, his in and outs, his angles, and that would be like a crazy like puzzle to solve in real time fights. That's one guy I would really like be honored to step in the cage with for sure.
Amazing. That's a great answer. I love it. I'm not mad at it. Okay, let's see. You can pick one or the other. Craziest thing you've done to either make weight or craziest thing that's happened to you during fight week.
Okay, so the craziest thing I've ever done to make weight was obviously sit in the bath after I was already like, man, I don't know if I'm going to make weight, but I had a pound and they were like, just go in this bath. And they poured a bunch of like alcohol or whatever they put in there and all this stuff. And I don't take baths. Like that was like, really? And I never done a bath like to lose weight, but they were like, this is all we got. We got to pull all the fluid out of you. And then I literally went blind for like Arnold, like 20 minutes probably. Like I couldn't see. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't see. And then I was like taking deep breaths, and it was probably one of the stupidest and craziest things I've ever did. I still like drink a little more water, wait a second, and then go back at it. When you say you don't do baths, you're a sauna guy? Yeah, I'm a sauna and a training guy because I'm like calories in, calories out, right? Water in, water out. So I know that I had the fluid in there, but obviously something was withholding. So maybe it was just like, it was an overload, so I just needed to take some time, rest, and then get back at it. But and then what was the craziest thing that's happened to you during fight week? So craziest thing that happened during fight week was cutting weight. I remember it was like I was in Japan. I was with my teammate and my jiu-jitsu coach, and I remember I was like running outside in the middle of July, and this was for the title fight for Rizin. And I was like, hold on, coach. He's like, what? I was like, I just need to lay down for a second. He was like, lay down? What do you mean lay down? I was like, just give me a second. I just laid down. I was like all in sweats and plastics. It's like 8 a.m. in Japan in Tokyo, and I'm just laying on the sidewalk, and he was like, bro, this is crazy. I was like, it's not that I'm hurting, it's just that I just need to take a rest, a couple deep breaths. And he was like, bro, you went from being on the street looking like a bum to a world champion within like a 24-hour time span. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like I wish I would have took a video of this, but it's like the things we do to sacrifice to become great, to challenge ourselves. But some people think cutting weight's bad. Obviously there's like dramatic things like the bath situation that would happen, but the preparation for it. But honestly, like you can't really say anything if you haven't cut weight, because it's like the spiritual, the emotional, the physical sense, and like everything that ties into one, and just to get to know how far you could push your body to a breaking point and still go, and then 24 hours later go compete at the highest level in front of 60,000 people is probably the craziest thing. It is. I'm so glad that you touched on that, because like you said, if you know. Yeah. Like you just had to have done it, or even being around it. Like, I think it's like
like you bring your family like to to see it and stuff like that. Like just that experience is different for them too.
Right. And I think it gets a bad rap because they're like, well, look at this guy, look how unhealthy he is. It's like, it's not that he's unhealthy. It's just that after the fight, they went to the club, they went to do all these things and drink alcohol, did a bunch of drugs, or doing steroids maybe, it's like, that's the long lasting effects that happen during some of these guys who choose to do that. And that's why they're messed up. It's not because they were cutting weight. Cutting weight is actually very healthy for you. Like, it's prophesized, it's biblical that fast for 40 days and see what happens and see how close you get to God. All these things that fasting do for you. Hits a reset with your metabolism. It cleans your body of heavy toxins. So like we're actually very healthy athletes, the ones that cut weight and the ones that push it to that extreme. But it's how you replenish yourself to make sure you get that real experience from it.
100%. And there's proper ways. There's people that don't do it right, or wait too long or things like that. But there's ways to do it.
Crash
to make
diet.
Like there's certain things to do, like water loading and all that is so important. Like, that certain diet that you do, the cutting the sodium, everything is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Clean meat, right? Clean vegetables, all that stuff.
Exactly. All right, last question. It is your first time fighting here in Las Vegas. So what's the celebration looking like? Do you already know what you want to go eat after the fight? Tell me.
Yeah, so I got a lot of friends and family coming out. One thing, Joe Daddy Stevenson, who's my coach, who will also be who's going to be in my corner this weekend. I remember winning my first title, and he said, "Juan, look at there's nothing to celebrate. If I could go back in time and be in the position you are, because that's what I did. I had a lot of fighters around me that that had been part of UFC and then that laid the basically road work for the position I'm in now. I always listen to their advice, and he told me, if you celebrate now, like, what are you celebrating for? Is it this was your ultimate goal? Right. He's like, and then you're going to create a bad habit that's like celebrating with clubbing, drinking, and living this lifestyle, what I just talked about, because you're doing all this weight cut. Exactly. And I've had longevity to my life and to my career for these reasons. And I'm still young, I'm still fast, I'm still explosive because of this. So he said, the people that are going to be there the next morning are the people you're going to want to be with the rest of your life. I promise you.
100%.
And so a little barbecue, a little the carne asada type deal, exactly. Who's going to be at the carne asada is going to be the people that are always having my back. And
I love that.
That's what the celebration looks like. Winning, defending this title and signing with the UFC, and it's going to be the carne asada.
Yes, I love it. That's the celebration, right? Yes. The hard work is but the fight, all that's the celebration.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing that what's to come.
Yes, 100%. I love it. All right, champ, thank you so much. Go ahead and, like I said, tell people whatever you want to say, your sponsors, your supporters, everybody's been rocking with you, and then also let everybody know where they can follow you. Yeah.
Hey guys, thank you for having me on during Fight Week. I'm honored to come into your fan base, so thank you guys for listening and having me here. I'd like to give a huge shout out to Randall Olliman. He's the man giving fighters another platform to be able to compete at the highest level and give it their all to go to that next level, take that next step in the career that they want. So thank you, Randall. Thank you, Borroka, XFC. You guys stepped up big time. I wanted to co-promote with Randall, so thank you. This is a second co-promotion fight card that I'm going to be part of. First was Rizin versus Bellator, now XFC with Borroka. It's going to be at the Virgin Hotel this weekend, Saturday, September 20th. You're not going to want to miss out, guys. It's going to be I'm here to entertain. That's the main thing. Beat a guy up or get beat up, it don't matter. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put on an entertaining fight. Come check us out over at Bloodline in Orange County. We're building a real big powerhouse right now. Some of our guys are some of the best guys in the world, I believe, and I've been training with them religiously every day, just making moves, getting better. To our sponsors, thank you so much for helping us out. American Weed Co. We got the meat company down in Los Alamitos. Thank you guys for helping us out. Rip Jerky, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Tequila Mandala, thank you guys for stepping up. I don't drink, but thank you guys for stepping up and hooking up to the guys that do. You guys are amazing. Monster Energy, they've been part of me since my whole Bellator career, and they continue to support me. Hans Molenkep, you are the man. Thank you for believing in me and knowing that I was going to be a champion as soon as you seen me fight my first time. I really appreciate it. And once again, guys, my fans, my family, everyone that supports me, thank you, and continue to follow me throughout Fight Week as I give you guys some more behind the scenes. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Juan. I've actually been a really big fan of you for a long time. I watched you in Bellator. So this was an absolute honor for me.
Heck yeah.
Thank you for being here during Fight Week. Thank you, Borroka. Thank you, Randall. Thank you, Ryan. Everybody that made this happen. I'm really excited. Like he said, do not miss the fights, guys. Going down this Saturday, September 20th at the Virgin Hotel on the Las Vegas Strip. Borroka MMA presenting XFC 53. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. This is In the Corner with Destiny McCubbin. Real fighters, real stories, real talk. We'll see you next round.